ye nations, lift up your eyes and give us your attention. For what we bring is not a fairy tale, but the living truth that will never fail. Now do you not know and have you not heard that the Lord is the everlasting God? He is the creator of the ends of the earth, and to grow tired or weary he cannot. For his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Youths will grow tired and weary, and young men will stumble and fall. But for those who put their hope in the Lord, will renew their strength amidst of it all. He promised for them to soar on wings like eagles. He promised for them to run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint, for in the Lord there is victory. Now whether in walking, running, or soaring, the Lord has promised to be with you. And so, as we mentioned at the beginning, here is a story, oh so true.
Hello, my name is Big Man. Every single day of your life, I'm always going inside. Hello, my name is...
There was once a young shepherd named Joe. So we're going to call him Joe. He was one of the sons of Jacob, the second youngest of the bros. Now because he was born to Rachel, Jacob's greatest love, he was the favorite son from all of the above. Now one day, Jacob wanted to please his son Joe, so he had decided to give him a robe. So colorful and bright, it stood out like no other. It stood out so much, it caught the eyes of his brothers. Now speaking of the brothers, we'd love for you guys to meet them. So without further ado, come out, the other 11. Ahem. We said, come out, the other 11. Asher, Naphtali, Zebulun, Judah, and Issachar. Now don't forget about Gad and Dan, and of course their baby brother, Ben the Man. Now because of this precious gift from their dad, it made the other brothers really mad. They could never speak a kind word to Joe, and to make things worse, a dream he had was the final blow. One starry night, when all were asleep, Joe had a dream, and it wasn't about sheep. In his dream were him and his bros. They were binding sheaves, and his sheaf suddenly rose. Having his brother's sheaves gather around his, Joseph told his brothers how theirs would bow to his. This made the brothers hate him all the more, for they did not understand why their sheaves would bow and his sheaf would soar. So they began to question their little brother Joe, asking, Joe, do you intend to rule over us? Because of all this hate and jealousy, they plot to end Joseph dreadfully. When Reuben the eldest heard of this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let's not take his life, he said. Come on, let's think of another plan. They listened to their eldest and did not lay a hand on Joe, but instead they threw him inside a well down below. Now Reuben left, and while Joe was all alone inside, then came a caravan of Ishmaelites. Towards Egypt with their camels, they said they were going. Let's sell him instead. This was without Reuben knowing. After Joe was taken away, they planned to fake his death. Dipping his robe in blood, they presented it to their dad and said, "We found this on our way home, covered in blood, ripped apart, and all torn." Jacob, the father, well, he began to mourn, and falling to his knees, his sons tried to keep him at ease. When Joe had arrived in Egypt, he was once again presented for sale to an Egyptian called Potiphar, whom Joe had sold as a slave. But you see, the Lord was with Joe all throughout his time in Egypt, for the Lord's favor was upon him in everything he did, from a slave to the person in charge of all the household. Potiphar was pleased with him until one lie was told. Now you see, Joe was a man of great character. He was well built, handsome, and not to mention a 10 out of 10. Because he was so young and attractive, Potiphar's wife took interest in him. "Come with me," she said, but he refused and ran away. "Come with me," she said all the time, but still he refused and ran away. And though she spoke to Joe day after day, Joe continued to refuse, and he continued to run away. A day came when he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the servants were there. She took advantage of this time she had with him and plotted to seduce him right there and then. Joe ran away so fast like he had done every single time, but this time he left his cloak behind. Out of rage for being rejected by Joe, Miss Potiphar had had enough and was to take it no more. She grabbed his cloak and went crying to Potiphar. "Joe tried to sleep with me," she said. "Please catch him. He couldn't have gone that far." So Joe was put to prison, even though he had done nothing wrong. But the Lord knew that Joe was innocent, so the Lord kept him strong. While Joe was there in prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. During his time in prison, he was able to interpret dreams. The Pharaoh had heard of this, and he immediately called for Job to be seen. The Pharaoh had a dream and he was severely disturbed, for he did not know what the dream meant, but hoped that Job would serve. Job came face to face with Pharaoh, and he began to listen to what the Pharaoh's dream was about. "Lend me your ears," Pharaoh said. "Job, come and listen. While I was wandering along by the banks of the river, when 7 fat cows came up of the Nile, and right behind these fine healthy animals came 7 other cows, skinny and vile. Well, the thin cows ate the fat cows, which I thought would do them good. But it didn't make them fatter, like how you'd expect they would." Now Job continued to listen, and already he knew what to say, for the Lord had given Job the gift of interpreting people's dreams. "Pharaoh, please sit," Job said, "and listen to what I have to say. There will be 7 years of plenty, endless wheat and tons of hay, to store the excessive food you grow. But after that, the future doesn't look so bright. Egypt's luck will change completely overnight, and famine's hand will stalk the land with food an all-time low." "This Joseph is a clever kid," Pharaoh exclaimed. "Who would have thought that 14 cows could mean the things he said they did? Joseph, you must help me further. I have a job for you. You shall lead us through this crisis. You shall be my number 2. Now this could be a happy ending, a perfect place to stop the show. Joseph, after all, has gone about as far as he can go. But I'm sure that Jacob and his other sons have crossed your mind. How was the famine to hit the family? Was Joseph to leave them behind?" Job was left thinking about his dark past. Every misery and pain came in a blast. How he was mistreated by his brothers and thrown away. By his very own family, he was betrayed. Taken as a slave by foreigners to a faraway land, he had to do as they said, every command. To his trusted master, he did all to submit, only to be accused by a crime he did not commit. And in prison, he had to suffer all alone, away from his family, with no hope in the horizon. And yet his faith was bigger than his worries and fears. Joseph held on to the only thing that was clear. He knew he wasn't alone all these years, and God was with him, watching every tear. And when the time came for him to meet his brothers once again, they were starving in the famine, begging for grain. Little did they know it was the brother they abandoned, who would lend a hand and forgive them in a second. The oceans rose and thunders roared, but Joseph, he soared above the storm.
O ye people, O ye nations, lift up your eyes and give me your attention. For what you witness is not a fairy tale, but a living truth and not forever. Now, do you not know and have you not heard that I am the everlasting God? I am the creator of the ends of the earth, to look more of you unto them. My understanding no one can fathom. I give strength to the weary, I increase the power of the weak. Now youths will be tired and weary, and young men will stumble and fall. But for those who will renew their strength and stay old. I promise you to soar on wings like eagles. I promise you to run and not grow weary. You will walk and not be faint, for in me you are. Now whether you